Thank you, Robin, for the great introduction. My name is Clarisse. Good morning, everyone. My name is Clarisse Ingabire. I'm a livestock specialist at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, based in Rome, although I'm participating currently from California. It is a great pleasure for me and an honor to be here to participate to this great discussion on the role of women and men in raising poultry in a changing world. I would like to thank the One Health Poultry Hub that is organizing this important topic, especially nowadays that we are that the world is changing with the pandemic of COVID that is happening, and the whole discussion that is happening around food system and the sustainability of food system. Next slide, please. Yeah, perhaps before we go further in the discussion, let's remind ourselves about poultry in the smallholder systems. As we know all that in many parts of the world, people, families, households are raising poultry, and according to some reports and publication from FAO, if we look to continent like Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, in poor settings, in poor and in urban, in rural households, over 85% are raising poultry, especially chicken. In poultry, we have a range of birds that have evolved. We have indigenous and commercial breeds that have been modified based on some of the crossbreed or the genetical modification, genetical improvement that have happened to lead to commercial breeds. In those, these poultry smallholder system have been evolving based on the diversity. There is a large diversity, and this has been influenced by many factors, such as ecological factors, environmental factors. However, the choice of bird or the choice of breed that a household can raise depends on many factors, including accessibility, availability of the breed, the local context, the consumer preferences, and many other factors that are influencing the household dynamic to raise a chicken. Of course, we all know that poultry contribute significantly to food security and nutrition. As we know, eggs and meat are contributing to the availability of protein, and other micronutrients that are highly necessary for the children, for the elderly, or for pregnant women. And also there is a high contribution of poultry to women's self-reliance and to their self-empowerment. Can we go to next, please? Next slide. FAO has tried, and some other scholars, to classify the poultry, the family poultry, this term of family poultry, which evolves around small-scale poultry production, where we have from small, extensive scavenging to small-scale intensified. The difference are they varies according to the breeds, according to the type of household, whether they own land, whether those breeds, they have small breeds. For example, in small, extensive scavenging, you have 1 to 5 birds that are free-ranging in the household, that are usually kept in what they call backyard poultry or village poultry. And so the role of men and women within this family poultry, it varies according to the difference between the production system. As we know, mostly the more we go towards intensified system, the role of women, the dynamics, the gender dynamics tend to shift and to change depending on other many factors that we will see further. Next, please. So poultry production, is it really a women's domain, as many many scholars are arguing about? It's true that when you look at the backyard poultry production, you see its day-to-day care of the activities, animal husbandry, are being taken care by women. Sometimes they are helped with their children, and you see most women participating in activities such as helping with slaughter of the animals or building the cage. In some context, it depends also on which type of breeds. For example, in Vietnam, you will see that women might have a preferences for chicken, and men tend to have preferences for duck. In some context, for example, in Benin, men tend to raise turkeys and Guinea fowl because of the prestige that it presents itself. As we see, we go towards more intensified commercial system when there is a lot of economic aspects and economic returns. We see the role of women tending to reduce and being taken over by men. However, even in village backyard poultry, women might have access, depending again on regional context, depending on the intra-household dynamics and the gender relation, depending on the culture. For example, if the culture at a country context has made an improvement in gender equality, you will see that there is equal balance in where women, if they are taking care of or they have access to poultry, they are also having control on the resources or the incomes that are generated from the sales of the birds. However, this also can shift depending on any activities. For example, if we've seen some, for example, in Central America, when there is the cocks are fighting, and this is a prestige and it's linked to the main masculinity, and therefore that tend to be in the hands of men. And so the economic benefits and the access to credit and capital or land are some of the factors that can influence the different dynamic in the poultry production system. Although we know that women, when they take care of the poultry production, they are also having access to easy cash income that is usually used on household expenditures, that is used on food security for the family, that is used to take really care of the family. And so it's important to understand this gender dynamic within in a country context, especially when we are developing development projects, or when we are designing aspects of training, so that we are able to understand these factors as they can influence further. Next, please. Today, there is a changing opportunity, as we have seen over the latest with what we call the livestock evolution, when we see that mostly the intensive system that is being driven by the demand, the high demand in animal source protein, animal source food. And this has led to an increase in intensive production. Which to some extent is in competition with smallholder farmers. As we know, smallholder farmers, and again, women being the majority in this system, not having access to the market. And also the avian influenza happening and the close of life bird market that has led again to this, to all the issues that the smallholder are facing. And so it's important that all the animal health programs are geared towards sustaining the livelihood and improving the productivity in smallholder farmers, as this can really benefit women. some of the program in training, such as Farmer Field School, have been really important in empowering women and bringing this decision-making power and social empowerment and confidence, so that they can be able to manage the poultry and also pass on the knowledge to the next generation. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to some discussion. Thanks.